Okay, let's do something interesting today. So I'm going to show you how we put up a distributed load testing environment using JMeter and Dockers. So we are going to have a master Docker and then some slave Docker setup, and then the slave Dockers generating the load and the master Docker helping in orchestrating it. So straight away, let's go inside. So if you see here, I have a folder named JMeter and I have already configured certain files, but I'll tell you step by step what needs to be done. Post that you can do the setup. So step 1, and I'll put these steps in the description also, so you can refer back to the description in case you are confused anywhere. So step 1, we are going to create a folder name JMeter base. So do a mkdir JMeter base. Okay, I've already created it, so I'm not going to create it again. So I'll just go inside this folder JMeter base, and here if you see there will be a Docker file. Okay, so you can see the Docker file for its content. Okay, so this all things I'll put in the description column as well, so you don't have to worry. You can just copy paste, right? So you can do a vi to create this Docker file. The first step is JMeter base, because based on the JMeter base Docker file, your JMeter slave Docker files will be created. So you have seen the content of JMeter base Docker file. Now I'm going inside JMeter Master. Okay, and you will find a similar file here as well. So this will be the content of the JMeter Master Docker file. Okay, so do this, create using vi and save it using wq. I'm just doing a q because I just have to get out of this file, and also create another folder named jmeter slave. So we'll go inside jmeter slave and see what is. So this also has a Docker file. This can see the content of this Docker file. Okay, so from JMeter base, that is like we are using JMeter base as the file from which this JMeter slave Docker files will be spin, and we are exposing two ports, 1099 and 6000. These two ports are being exposed, right? Now let's go back. So we'll go back to the main folder, and we have seen what is there inside JMeter base, JMeter master, JMeter slave, and then results and scripts folders will automatically uh, get generated. I mean, scripts folder will have the script file, the JMX file. Will kind of create that JMX file and try to move it using FileZilla or some other tool, because this is being a Linux machine. You have to create your JMeter file in a UI mode and then you can move it, right? And then next step is we'll see the docker-composer.yml file. Okay, I forgot to mention the prerequisites for this whole thing is installation of Docker and docker compose in your machine, right? So I'll give those steps also, how which URL you should download the docker and docker compose from, and then how do you install it. Basically, if you are on a Amazon AWS EC2 instance, what you can do is you can do use yum command for installing anything, right? So you can say something like, right, this has to be done post downloading docker compose. I'll give you those commands which you can directly use for getting docker compose and configuring it. So those commands will be there in the description section, right? So let's see docker-compose.yml. What does it have? If you see, it has details of the environment setup, right? So we are going to have a master, a slave, and then the network for master and slave, etc. TTY true says keep the container running even if nothing is happening inside the container, right? So we can create a docker.yml like this, and then just have a start JMeter environment. This also, everything I'll give in the description section, but just you can, in case you want to create, you can create it using vi editor and then save it using escape colon and wq will help you in saving it, right? I'm not saving it, so I'm just saying q, right? So this is your jmeter environment start, right? Let's go inside temp. So what I've done is I have most of the things which can be uh, like put together, and kind of your environment is set. Most of those things I have combined into the config.sh, so that it works as a batch file, and then the files which have to be pushed. If you see this RMI key store JKS, so step 2, what you have to do is get inside the master file, create the the certificate or the .jks file in the master uh, docker container, and then push it into the slave docker container. So for this, what I have done is I have already created those files, and user properties, you have to make some modifications. So probably I'll just show you where you have to modify the user properties file, right? So yeah, so if you see this file, I mean, in case you go into the JMeter installation folder, and then go into the user properties file, which will be there inside bin, these all lines will be commented out. So you'll see these lines are as commented out. What you have to do is you just have to uncomment these lines. So server, RMI SSL, RMI SSL key store file, just make a note from here, and the same lines you have to kind of uncomment. So, and while you create your .jks file, it will ask you to give some password. So make sure you are using the same password for this line as well as this line, right? So these are the changes that you have to do to your user properties file, and the same should go inside all your master and your slaves, whichever are running. So this has to go inside everything, right? And then this docker.jmx file, docker test.jmx file, that has to go inside the master, because from master only the execution will be orchestrated. So master will push this load to all the slaves, right? And if you see this JMeter backend listener Elasticsearch part, that you can ignore for now because that is used for pushing the data into the Elasticsearch engine from where it can be displayed in Kibana. Okay, so I will talk through that in some other video. So for now, just make sure your user properties file is all fine. The RMI key store. Okay, let me show you how do we generate a RMI key store file. Okay, just give me a second. Just a second. Yeah. So this command can be used for going inside the master file. Check if it is running. Yes. And then we can go inside JMeter. Again, and under here we will have, okay, this guy, create RMI. This. So what you have to do is do OSH. I'm not going to do it, but I'm just showing it. How do you do it? So do OSH and create RMI key store and enter. So that will help you in creating the RMI keystore.jks file. You can give a password here. The same password is to be passed inside the user.properties file. Right. So this is the file which will get generated post you do this create. Right. Now we are going back. So do exit to get out of the container. Now what we are going to do is, let me see what all containers are already running, or we start it again. Okay, what I do is I'll start it again because I have to show you guys. So what I'm doing is there might be something which is running. I want to stop it, stop everything. Okay, and then we'll remove them as well, and we do the whole thing from the beginning. Okay, I'm going to say yes. Okay, so I'm all clean, and now let's, so we'll go back, we start sudo sh start JMeter environment, and I say bring up 5 slave nodes for me. So if you see, it is creating one master plus five slave nodes. So I mean, you can, as per your requirement, you can say 10, 15, 20, whatever you like to, whatever number of slave nodes that you would like to have, you can say that. Okay, now my nodes are up and running. The next step is I go inside temp. So once you're done with all this setup, this is how you start your execution using the master slave setup, right? So once I am inside the setup, I just do a config .sh. So I just run the config sh. Did I show you the content of config? It is just copying some files. I'll show you. Let me do it first. Okay, it is done. So what is inside config sh? It is just creating, copying these files into master and all the slaves that are running. Probably you can make some modifications here. Basically you have to do it if you are running with more or less slaves, right? So now all my 5 slaves have this files already copied. So what's next, right? Now next is I put this docker.jmx file into the master, right? So because I would be running with this docker.jmx, so let me see guys that command. Okay, just a second. Okay, here it is. So here if you see, I'm pushing this docker test.jmx into the master container, right? So you can use this command. All these commands will be given in the description section as I said, and you can copy it from there. So it says it's not being able to create. So what we do is we'll go inside the master and we'll create, right? Let's go inside the master which is running. Then we create a scripts folder so that it can copy the docker testers.jmx here, right? We are done. Now let's go back and run our command. Okay, we're done, right? Now let's go inside the master. Okay, uh, master is fine. We can go inside and check if we have the script already there. Yeah, it's here. So now next step is we'll go inside the slave in which we have to run. In the slave, if you remember in the video that I have for distributed load testing, I have said that in the slave the servers have to be started, the JMeter servers have to be started so that it can make a connection to the master, right? So I'm just doing that. Go inside JMeter slave 1. Okay, I'm inside slave 1, go inside bin, right? And then here just say sh jmeter server, right? So see, okay, we have started the server and just make a note of the endpoint. It is 172.18.03, and now you can say control Q. Take a lit. Okay, no worries. We'll go to that. Sorry, I think I just killed my connection. So okay, we are just going back to that machine where the whole setup is running. Okay, if you see here, just give me a few seconds. Okay, we are back. So I'll just probably create a okay, yeah, it's there. So you have to do a control P and then control Q so that your this JMeter server remains live and that you just escape out of it. So I'm just going to go back to my master, and then I will start my execution from the master with the script and in this 03. So basically, I mean, if you're running 5 slaves, you have to start the server in those 5 slaves, right? Once you are okay, so let me do one thing. So what I'm going to do is get the I just get the command for running it from a different node, and then we are good to go, right? So it is defined. Okay, let's just do this. Let's just do this. Okay. So my file name is scripts dockerized.jmx, and then I say, and then I give the the slave machine, right? So if I have multiple, I'll have to give comma and then the other machines. So let me try this. 772.18.03. Here we go. Minus T7, okay. So that I don't need it, I think. Minus A is for non-GUI mode. Very good. Okay, minus T is for the script. Okay, let me do one thing. I think maybe we are passing it as right. So it should be I'll do it this time. Yes. Okay, so if you see, this run has happened and you are seeing the summary. Yeah, perfect. So the execution is done and the run ends. So we are able to do the execution in the slave docker. So you can do the same thing using the other dockers also. Let me show you one more. So we did start slave 1. What I'm going to do is start the slave 2. Okay, go inside bin. It is very easy. And then just say search JMeter server. Okay, there it is. So it is running in 7. Now I need to get out of this. Okay, there we go. Go inside master. And then just scripts. And then run the same command again, but this time with 172.18.0.7, right? So yep, so our execution is starting with both the slaves. You can do this for 5, 10, whatever you like to. Okay, I think this is a good learning for all of you today. Thanks for watching.